Hello, this is the Council on Independent Fundamental Bible Doctrine. I am doing my next video today in the Rapture Timeline series. The title of this video is The Jew Nation Principle. What we're going to look at is how the Bible, in one of its teachings regarding the Jewish nation, how that teaching gives us insight into the end times and the rapture timeline. Okay? So that's what we're going to look at, the Jew nation principle. All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right, it regards Christ's appearing. Revelation 1:7, Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also who pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. Okay, why are they wailing because of him? Because his wrath is getting ready to start. It's not over with. It's getting ready to start. Okay? This is the first return, not the second return. And you will see that clearly by the end. Okay? So he cometh with the clouds, not on a horse. Every eye is going to see him. They who pierced him, the Jews, will see him. Okay? As Zechariah 12:10 says, and I will pour the spirit of grace and of supplications, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced. Okay, this is a double fulfillment. They looked upon him whom they pierced at his crucifixion. Now they're going to look upon him at his return, whom they pierced. Okay? They shall look upon me whom they have pierced. In that day there shall be a great mourning in Jerusalem, and the land shall mourn, every family apart. And he goes into this long thing about this family apart, that family apart. The reason they're just now starting to mourn their dead family members is that now that they have seen Jesus, they know that their dead family members are with Korah and not with Abraham. Okay? They're in hell and not heaven. That's why you mourn family members not when they die, but later on, after they see Jesus. Okay? Him whom they pierced. Because now they realize they were wrong, and all those family members that denied the Messiah will not make it to heaven. Okay? That's one reason why they're mourning. Another reason why they're mourning is the wrath is coming. Okay? All right? And the passage also says they're mourning for Christ himself because of what he went through. So there's a lot of mourning going on. Okay? And the land shall mourn, every family apart. Hosea 5:15. I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense and seek my face. In their affliction they will seek me early. Okay, the spirit of grace and supplications. They're going to be making supplications to him after they look upon him whom they pierced as he's coming at his first return. Then they make supplications, okay, calling upon his name, seeking his face, okay, seeking him early in their affliction. Who's afflicting them? Come, let us return unto the Lord, for he hath torn, and he will heal us up. God is afflicting them. He hath smitten, and he will bind us up. God is afflicting them. Why? Because he's come at his first return, which even the unbelieving Jews that are now going through his wrath seen him at his first return. It's not a private return. Every eye shall see him. They're getting ready to they're wailing because his wrath is getting ready to start. They look upon him whom they pierced at his first return. Then he returns to his place, and his wrath is being poured out upon the earth, including the unbelieving Jews. So in their affliction, they seek his face, they make supplications, they do all these things. Okay? God is pouring out his wrath on them. He will bind us up. His going forth is prepared as the morning. He shall come unto us as the rain, refreshing, the second return. That is where God will save the remnant that is left. And yes, the Bible teaches that the Antichrist is going to kill 2/3 of the Jews and the end times. Okay? But that's not how, it won't be 1/3 that's left, because God is going to kill even more of them. Okay? Let's look at it. Ezekiel 9:4. And the Lord said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark on the foreheads of the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. Okay, those who hate evil, put the sign on their foreheads. Okay, the 144,000. Okay, during the wrath of God. Because he's getting ready to lower the boom on them. That's why these people have to be sealed in their foreheads. And to the others he said in mine hearing, Go ye after him through the city, and smite. Let not your eye spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. People, this is why the abomination of desolation does not last for the second half, 3.5 year tribulation. The 3.5 year second half tribulation, that is not how long the abomination of desolation is. It's 2,300 days. Daniel chapter 8. Verse 13 or 14, somewhere right in that section, tells us that the abomination of desolation lasts for 6.3 years. Why? Because after the tribulation, when Christ returns at his first return, where the Jews see him whom they have pierced, he's going to go back to his place. Their wrath of God is going to be poured out upon the earth in the day of the Lord, after the tribulation. The wrath of God is in the day of the Lord. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh with great anger and wrath. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh with a great sword. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh with great destruction. Yeah, the Bible tells us over and over and over again that the wrath of God is in the day of the Lord. So slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. Why? Because God is going to defile it even more. And he said unto them, Defile the house, and fill the courts with the slain. Go ye forth. And they went forth and slew in the city. And it came to pass, while they were slaying them, and I was left, that I fell upon my face, and cried, and said, Ah, Lord God, wilt thou destroy all the residue of Israel in the pouring out of thy fury? So it's not a full third of the Jews that make it to the end, who believe and Christ saves them at the end, at his second return. It's even less than that, because Christ is going to kill a lot of the Jews. A lot of the unbelieving Jews are going to die during his wrath, which is after the tribulation. in the day of the Lord. There is no secret coming. Every eye shall see him, okay, at his first return, when the Jews look upon him whom they pierced. Then they begin mourning and crying out to God and making supplications while he is pouring his wrath out on him. Why? Because his wrath is after his first return. The first return, every eye sees him. Every eye. All the kindreds of the earth wail. Okay, not just one battle in one small valley in one of the smallest nations in the world, and then he cleanses the temple and sets up his kingdom. No, that's after the wrath. 2.8 years into the day of the Lord. Okay, as Daniel 8 tells us, 2,300 days is how long the abomination lasts from the middle of the tribulation for 6.3 years. Why? Because the wrath of God is in the day of the Lord, not in the 70th week. Okay, these people, the Jews, see him whom they pierced. The unbelieving Jews, the entire world sees him at his first coming. At his first return. Then he goes back to his place while they're getting the wrath poured out upon them, and he saves the remnant at the second return. The wrath is in between the first return and the second return. And the first return, every eye sees him. Okay? The coming at the end of the tribulation, the return of Christ at the end of the tribulation, is the first return before the wrath. That is where Christ is revealed. That is where every eye sees him. That is his appearing. That is the revelation of Jesus Christ at the sign of the Son of Man. You need to watch the Revelation Principle if you haven't. You need to watch the full video titled "The Wrath of God is in the Day of the Lord, not in the 70th week." That will give you a commanding understanding of the end times. But this first return of Christ is not a private coming. The whole world sees him. Okay? And his wrath is after that return. Okay? And the wrath is upon the whole earth, not just one little valley in one of the smallest nations in the world for one battle. No, the wrath is over by that return. This is the return at the end of the wrath, where the herald of the wrath and the day of the Lord is coming, starting, commencing, beginning. You don't herald the wrath of God coming upon the earth after it's over. The sixth seal, sun goes dark, the moon goes dark, stars fall from heaven, earth is moved, heaven is moved, men mourn as they see Christ, face of Christ, and his wrath is coming upon the earth. That's the end. That's the immediately after the tribulation of those days, day of the Lord signs. People, the wrath of God is in the day of the Lord, not in the 70th week. Okay? All right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. I hope this helps. I'll get some more on eventually. Thank you.